Hello again, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti. Joining me is Joëlle Koster, a medieval historian from URI. She also has a particular interest in the church and the popes going way back. We don't have to go back to the medieval ages. We can go back just to colonial times when the Americas were founded. This is the first pope from America. I don't think anybody saw this coming. You know, I was on the betting sites and the blogs, and all the Italians were trying to wrestle it back. What is the message they're sending us today, if there's any message from the College of Cardinals?
Lot of discussion, I don't know, like in the New York Times, about the way the Americans were literally campaigning in Rome with big banquets and big cocktail parties, trying to chat up with everyone. And as you said, this one, Prévost did not, Prévost, as a French person, I have to say he had a French father, so he's a little bit, for nationality, there is a little bit of pride for the French side. So he was what I would call the unexpected, but this is a candidate, this was a cardinal who was known by many. And my assumption was that when we came in, such a large college needed to agree on a candidate. And the only way a large college can agree on a candidate if they have knowledge of that person. And Prévost, so Pope Leo XIV, had a position where he was evaluating and naming bishops, so recommending bishops. So I have to assume that anyone who has been a bishop was actually, passed by him or at least knew him. But for him to be nominated, chosen so quickly, there had to be a wide amount of familiarity with him, because otherwise it would be very difficult to rationalize why he was chosen actually extremely quickly.
All right. So the Americans they had a campaign going, almost like an American election campaign.
Yeah, that's what I read.
I was unaware of that. Everybody was talking about the Italians wanting to wrestle it back and the Filipino and the Cardinal from Africa. I was unaware that there was this campaign going on.
Yes.
The last pope put him in a pivotal position.
Yes.
So he sort of had the imprimatur of the last pope,
Yes.
the endorsement, so to speak,
Yes.
and they all know him. So
Yes.
it may have been a logical choice in the end.
And I think it was, everybody was asking me, what do you think about all the papabile, all of the people were being named? And my response was, it's all a smokescreen. The cardinals are going to choose the person they find, they feel is the most adept at dealing with the position of the church today. And I think this is why they went fast, because they knew him, and all of the names circulating made maybe a lot of money for the bookmakers. But I doubt that there was any real consideration of all of the names we kept hearing. I thought it was a smokescreen, and I that was my feeling, and more or less I was right.
Well, now is the College of Cardinals sending a signal out? The church is ancient; it goes back more than 2,000 years. So a country like America is very young. Is this finally an embrace of the new world, or are we becoming too poetic in that?
You may be going a little bit too much into poetics. But listen, Prévost Leo XIV has ample experience with South America. He's a Latinx. He has spent lot of time in Peru, so he knows the situation in South America very well. What I find fascinating is his name. I mean, you're asking an historian. He's going back to, number one, is somebody from the Augustine order, which was an order created in the 13th century, a mendicant order like the Franciscans of St. Francis, an order of mendicant dedicated to poverty, to social reform, an urban order. So I think that's significant. Pope Leo XIII was a pope who faced modernism, who wanted to bring the church up to date to what was going on in his time, which was at the beginning, I think it's like 1870 to 1900. He's also a young pope. And actually, Pope Leo XIII ruled for a very long time. So it's highly possible that Leo XIV will also rule for a long time.
Right.
But Leo XIII was dedicated to labor unions, to supporting this, the 19th century industrialization and the labor force. So he was on the side of the labor force to give them safety. So I see here very nice continuity with the preoccupation of Francis. And I think by choosing this name, Leo XIV, as a successor of Leo XIII, Prévost is really showing that he is, in fact, in continuity in his care for the people, in general.
Okay. Well, there are administrative concerns. So much, however, for talk of Africa, Latin America, where church enrollment is growing, versus the U.S., Western Europe, where it's on the decline. That appears to be just so much talk this time around.
And what I find interesting, I have a colleague who emailed me a link to an article which was stating that in England, the Anglican Church is losing ground to the Catholic Church. So if you think a little bit, if the Brits are turning against the Anglican Church and becoming Catholic, number one, Henry VIII is turning in his tomb. Yes. And number two, there is a kind of maybe the Catholic Church is not that dead in Europe, and that maybe somebody like the new Pope will be able also to play on that. Listen, I was in Rome in January. I have never seen that many people in the city. It's okay. It's a jubilee, and we need to remember it's he will be the Pope of a jubilee and then a Pope at the same time. This is pretty big for Catholics. So in short, I'm not that convinced that the Catholic Church is that dead in Europe, and the old Western axis, if you want to call it that way, is still a powerful axis. Is still a directing axis.
Well, the U.S. is a comparatively liberal country. Our politics are very different here. I'm curious the dynamic between an American Pope and President Trump, or any other American president that had to be on the minds of the electors in making their choice. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and okay, I'm going to say it. I may get mad, we see, but I think that as American cardinals go, and as an American Pope, he may be your least Trumper Pope that we could have. So it's going to make for some interesting relations. I do think its preoccupation are more toward people, liberal. Again, this is somebody who has a deep experience with Peru. So we have to assume an experience with immigration. So I'm assuming all of this is going to play a part in the way things are going to go. But again, I don't predict the future.
Well, you're right. Thanks for joining us from URI, Joëlle Koster. She is a medieval expert talking about modern times.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. Merci.